Yo, what's up guys? You got pokeaim here with another Pokemon Sword and Shield moveset video guide for Grimmsnarl. Now, Grimmsnarl is actually one of my favorite Pokemon from this generation, probably second to like Dragapult. And it's actually a pretty good answer to Pokemon like Dragapult and Hydreigon. So if your team is weak to those certain Pokemon, Grimmsnarl is actually pretty solid for you. And I'll talk a little bit more about teammates in a bit. But we're going to be talking about the Assault Vest set. Now, I did mention that it's pretty good versus Dragapult and Hydreigon, and that's true because of its natural resistances to Dark and Ghost, and also the immunity to Fairy. Grimmsnarl can come in on Substitute Nasty Plot Hydreigon, Specs, and Dragon Dance, Dragapult, which are running around. Now, we're going to be running the Adamant Nature, and what the Assault Vest does is it boosts your special defense times 1.5, so making it a pretty solid check to sub Nasty Plot Hydreigon. We have enough speed for Clefable. I think that's a pretty good speed tier to hit. You never know when you have to hit that thing with a Spirit Break to keep going. Spirit Break is a pretty cool fairy type attack that lowers the special attack when it hits or makes contact with a Pokemon, so that's really nice. Frisk is a great ability as well because it lets you know the items of your opponent when you come in. And I think that's pretty useful, especially in competitive Pokemon. And I think that in Draft League, where items are everything and sets are everything, Grimmsnarl is a Pokemon that can really make use of that. There was no point in using Prankster because we're not using any non-attacking moves. So Darkest Lariat is your main form of stab. It's pretty nice as well because it doesn't care at all about boosts. So it doesn't care if your opponent has like +6 defense on their Pokemon. Darkest Lariat will hit them as if they do not. We have Drain Punch for recovery. It's basically just a little bit recovery right there. It's really nice for like versus Tyranitar. 4 times effective hit. Get a nice bit of recovery out. There's a little bit of a chunk to Ferrothorn as well. And it's also good because when you Dynamax, you can get +1 due to it being Max Knuckle. And then we have Sucker Punch for priority. That's really good for Dragapult and just pretty strong in general versus offensive builds. Like Pokemon like Barraskewda don't appreciate a Sucker Punch. And again, I did mention Spirit Break is there for the, the physical fairy move that doesn't miss, as well as the ability to lower that special attack. Pokemon that pair really well with this, and I think that appreciate Assault Vest Grimmsnarl would be like the Rotom, Ferrothorn, Aegislash cores that are running around that really don't like Hydreigon, right? Substitute Hydreigon with Nasty Plot can break through all of those. Even a Dragapult with Specs or Mixed Dragapult can doesn't like that at all. And Grimmsnarl obviously appreciates like Rotom dealing with Pokemon like Corviknight, and also being a solid switch into Shadow Ball from Aegislash is really nice too. So next up we have the Bulk Up set, and this is a Bulk Up set with Black Glasses, and what Black Glasses does is it gives you a boost in your Dark type attacks. So we're going to be running Prankster on this one, that way you can get Prankster Bulk Up. That Prankster Bulk Up might be the difference between living a physical attack from a Pokemon or not. Just Adamant, Max Speed, and Max Attack, Spirit Break, Darkest Lariat, and Sucker Punch. You could run Play Rough for the damage, but honestly, because Darkest Lariat and Sucker Punch are going to be so useful, especially versus, offensive Pokemon like Darmanitan, which do outspeed you, you can hit that thing with a Bulk Up +1. Black Glasses boosted Sucker Punch. I do think that because of the moves you're going to be clicking, why when you go for a Fairy move versus Hydreigon should you risk missing, right? Now, there are a few options you can run as well over this. You could run Taunt. Taunt is pretty cool at Prankster, stopping opposing setup as well. I think that is a really nice one. Another one is potentially Rest with a Chesto Berry on this set. And what that would do is maybe put it over either Darkest Lariat or Sucker Punch. I think that Sucker Punch, though, is invaluable. Or like irreplaceable, excuse me. So I would actually keep it. But because Sucker Punch will also turn into a Dark type attack when you Dynamax, you don't necessarily need to keep Darkest Lariat. But it's just an option, of course, if you want to use like Bulk Up Rest with a Chesto Berry on Grimmsnarl. If you do use that set, I would advise a more bulkier set. Let's talk a little bit about the next one. Now, this is a pretty cool, pretty great Hydreigon answer. Actually, almost a perfect Hydreigon answer. And that's the Rest Sleep Talk Bulk Up Spirit Break Grimmsnarl with the Leftovers. Leftovers obviously providing you a recovery turn per turn. With the Prankster ability, Rest, Sleep Talk, and Bulk Up are all priority moves, right? They all get priority when Grimmsnarl goes for them. So it's really nice because it allows it to have a priority healing move And also, Sleep Talk can basically get Bulk Up or Spirit Break. Spirit Break is really nice because with the 24 speed EVs, you outspeed Clefable, and if they are not running unaware Clefable, you can actually beat Clefable 1v1, considering you're boosting both your attack and your defense, but you're also lowering their special attack at the same time. So even though you are weak to Moonblast, this is something that could take this thing on. This is also really good, again, for dealing with a Pokemon like Rotom. With the special defense, you can eat that up. And it also just abuses the fact that Grimmsnarl just has really nice typing. Dark Fairy is so cool. Of course, this set really does want hazard support. It really does want spikes, potentially toxic spikes if possible. Though, of course, toxic spikes aren't as good right now because Toxapex is running around everywhere. Speaking of Toxapex, I think another Pokemon that can pair really well with this is actually an Arena Trap Dugtrio. That way you can get rid of Toxapex in itself. And that's really good because this allows it to basically open up that door for a Grimmsnarl sweep. Another mon you want to worry about is the Corviknight. So you want Pokemon for Corviknight, Rotom Wash, fire types as well that can do it. Cinderace can do it as well. Cinderace can be really nice. Toxtricity is pretty good as well, especially because sub bulk up Corviknight is so common right now. This is a Pokemon that really appreciates Toxtricity support because Overdrive is an electric type attack that goes through substitute. So even if Corviknight's at +6 behind a sub, Toxtricity can just come out and go for Overdrive, and if it's Spec, can just knock it out. So Grimmsnarl pairs pretty well with those Pokemon as well. Before we move on to the next set, I just want to say, guys, if you want to figure out how to use these Pokemon in your game and how to EV train them and how to get them to level 100 pretty quickly, I have a guide down below. If you also want some help with team building, I have a team building guide down below as well that I did with my buddy BKC. So those links are down below in the description if you want to check them out and need help with those sort of things. Those are pretty good resources for you. And we have, I believe, another set. And this really does make use of the potential of using the prankster move as well, and that's the dual screen set. So I'm sorry, I was like stumbling on words. Sorry, I just stopped streaming for 8 hours straight from 3 a.m. to 11 a.m. so I'm a little bit out of it. But we're going to be using a Light Clay Prankster Grimmsnarl, and the idea behind this is to set up Light Screen and Reflect to support teammates with priority. You also have Taunt to stop defog and to stop opposing setup. Spirit Break is there so you can again maximize the special attacks you can take while still checking Pokemon like Nasty Plot Hydreigon as well as Dragapult. We're running defensive as well because it lets you better take on Hawlucha after a Reflect. And obviously you can knock them out with your max fairy move if you end up Dynamaxing with this Pokemon. But the idea is abuse the Prankster and get that priority on this thing. Taunt, stop, setup. There are a few other options on this though. Don't get me wrong. You could run Thunder Wave. Grimmsnarl does get Thunder Wave. But I do think that Spirit Break is basically necessary. And again, because you want to be able to deal with that Hydreigon as well. And just the special attack dropping is so cool on Grimmsnarl. But yeah, Thunder Wave is definitely an option on a Prankster set and a more offensive set at that. Another set that I actually didn't end up making a slide for, but I kind of wanted to talk about was the Choice Band Grimmsnarl. Now, Choice Band is really interesting because it does have obviously the Darkest Lariat and the Play Rough, which is incredibly strong. And I think that having Prankster on Trick as well, which it does have, is pretty cool too because you can cripple walls. Like, for example, if a Pokemon like Toxapex comes in on Grimmsnarl, you can go for Trick. And again, I didn't make a slide, but this is just me talking about it because I haven't used a set, so I don't want to give you guys a set I haven't used or tested out yet. But using Prankster Trick is pretty cool. Again, crippling those Pokemon. A special attacker, for example, getting a Choice Band would not appreciate that because most of the time they want to use special attacks. But on that set, I potentially run, if we actually go back to the original set right here, let me just show you real quick. If you go back to the original set, whereas Darkest Lariat, Sucker Punch, I'd run Play Rough just because it's stronger than Spirit Break. And then potentially as the last move, you could run something like Sewer Power. Sewer Power is definitely an option as well. You could even run something like Darkest Lariat, Play Rough, Sucker Punch, Trick. But I would slash maybe either Darkest Lariat or Play Rough with Sewer Power. But Sewer Power is only there as an opportunity to hit Ferrothorn a little bit harder. For the most part, I think that Darkest Lariat, Sucker Punch, and Play Rough are all you need, while also using your Trick capabilities to cripple opposing Pokemon. But yeah, that's basically it for Grimmsnarl. It's a really solid Pokemon in the metagame right now that gets really scary versus balance when it starts setting up. Again, a bulk up taunt set could work. It does have access to Nasty Plot as well. I'm not sure how I feel about Nasty Plot though. I did actually end up using that in my playthrough, but moves like Dazzling Gleam and Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse is really good, obviously, and having Prankster on moves like that is pretty cool. Another set that can be used as well in the bulk up if you want to slash that, I believe, is Substitute Bulk Up. So you can use like sub bulk up with leftovers if you want to, with like Spirit Break and Sucker Punch, or Darkest Lariat and Spirit Break if possible. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you guys actually want to pick up the Dropa Draco merch, I didn't really mention this. Again, I've only been mentioning the past 2 videos, but this is something that has been happening or has been live during the duration of the 252-hour marathon that I'm a part of at A Drive's house. And we have like limited edition Dropa Draco merch just for that. For those of you that are new, you probably have no idea what this means, but if you are an old head and you've been subbed to my channel for a while, you definitely recognize Dropa Draco. And this is a throwback to the original Dropa Draco, which actually had kind of based on Latios, but now we have Duraludon. But yeah, hope you guys all enjoyed. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, my friends.